Have you ever found yourself wondering, gee, whatever would I do if my partner abandoned me for a whole night inside of an RV in an unfamiliar area? Wouldn't it be scary? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not scary at all. And while it is super rare that I am alone in the RV for a night, Keith does have a job that occasionally requires him to run off into faraway lands, allegedly, and leave me behind to fend for myself. Which, if you're a hunky dude, you're probably sitting there and thinking, what's the matter with that? I love RVing alone in unfamiliar places. I crack open a beer, throw a buffalo steak on the fire, do some journaling, rub some dirt on my face. However, as a woman, it can be a little intimidating. So I feel like it is my duty, nay, my privilege, to share some of my tips for spending a night alone in an RV as a solo female camper who was forsaken by her husband. I don't really like leaving the RV when Keith isn't around, and half of the time I'm left without a vehicle, so I tend to prepare for my aloneness beforehand. I make sure that the propane tanks are full and that the RV is stocked full of essential supplies like paper towels, toilet paper, dish soap, and that the pantry is full of groceries. Because if I don't have my food planned and purchased beforehand, I will be forced to take dramatic measures. Once it is time for Keith to depart, I always send him off with a proper goodbye, because a journey cannot commence without a kiss and a sweet farewell. No! Please! No! I'll admit, the initial goodbyes can be hard, but I personally adapt to being alone extremely well. When I am placed into solitary confinement, I mean when I am staying in the RV alone, it is important that I plan out plenty of entertainment for myself and the animals, including television, books, and games.
Bones are dead.
Oh, how did that happen?
It's out in the hall.
No, we don't know that. The smoke could be coming through an air duct.
Oh my God, okay, it's happening.
Thank you, Simon said in a husky voice. Then he turned to Daphne and began to unbutton her dress. And they sat on the bed and played a round of chess. If I find myself getting lonely, as one who spent an entire day socializing with animals might, I walk around the RV and do things that Keith would do to remind me of him and to help ease my lonely heart. I always prepare for the worst. And while Keith will continually tell me that the odds of an intruder breaking into the RV are highly unlikely and that I'm being dramatic and to please stop calling him every 5 minutes, I like to take the Kevin McAllister approach in preparation. And I always record Keith singing in the shower, just in case someone knocks on the door while he's away. Evenings, once the house is completely secure, I stuff the bed as if Keith is right next to me and lay with something that smells just like him so that my subconscious mind feels secure while I sleep. And finally, the next morning, or Whenever Keith decides to return from his wayward journey, I very patiently await his arrival. Hey Siri.
Uh-huh.
How do you file a missing persons report?
Here's what I found from missingpersons.gov. If you have concerns for someone's safety.
All jokes and satire aside, you shouldn't be intimidated by staying in an RV alone as a woman, especially if you go into it prepared. Keith and I tend to stay in very secure places and campgrounds that are full of people who I can rely on if needed, and RVers in general are very kind and generous people. After all, the RV community is full of grandmas and grandpas who, in my personal experience, will jump at the opportunity to help you and or bake you a batch of cookies. And while RVing alone in an unfamiliar area as a woman can be a scary notion, it can also be a very self-empowering experience. And you may even surprise yourself with your bravery. I know I do. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope this video made you laugh, and hopefully if you are a woman who is a little bit intimidated or scared by the idea of staying alone in your RV, I've given you some confidence because look at how well I've turned out. Please consider subscribing. We put out new videos on most Fridays, and I will see you on the next one. How do dudes stand